Governor, since the U.S. Supreme Court set aside or effectively pushed off Roe v. Wade, there has been a lot of confusion here in the state of Michigan about reproductive rights, as well as the 1931 law that makes abortion illegal for almost all cases. Today, two developments. There was in one court that there was a ruling that suggested that county prosecutors can still rely on that 1931 law to enforce that, even though the Attorney General's office is under an injunction. What's your take on that, and what action have you taken in accordance with that ruling earlier?
Well, it's a strange ruling, Rick, and it's creating a lot of chaos and confusion and fear for women and for providers. You know, the only thing that has kept these rights intact for the last 3.5 years is my veto. I am going to continue to fight to protect women's rights in Michigan. I have filed a temporary restraining order with the court today. I'm hopeful that we will get a ruling. I'm also hopeful that our state Supreme Court takes my case up soon, because this is the exact concern that I had with that Dobbs decision. And obviously I filed my court case prior to that ruling coming out, but I was fearful that this is where we're heading. And now it's coming with a real cost to Michigan women and our families and providers. And that's why it's such an important moment for the court to take action and give us clarity.
Let's talk about the temporary restraining order. What is, where was that filed? When was it filed? And what is the disposition of that right now?
So I filed my initial lawsuit in the Oakland County Circuit Court, and that's where I filed my temporary restraining order request. It is, that's the first step as I'm trying to get the state Supreme Court to take the case. But that was the appropriate place for me to file this. I'm hopeful that we get a ruling today, tomorrow, hopefully very soon, because obviously, depending on who your prosecutor is, right now defines whether or not you've got a right that's been afforded to women in Michigan for 49 years. And that is a scary, unstable way to proceed with fundamental health care for women.
And to be clear, when you say get a ruling, you're talking about the temporary restraining order, either today or tomorrow, right?
Correct. That's my hope. And it's also my hope that the state Supreme Court takes some action now. This is what we were worried about. When I filed my lawsuit months ago, I took a lot of heat from people saying that maybe it wasn't necessary or it wasn't right. Very clearly, this is right now. And this is a very important moment when we're thinking about a law that makes a right that we've had for 49 years a felony, no exceptions for rape or incest. This is out of step with the average Michigander who supports women being able to make these decisions, even if it's not one they would make themselves.
What is your take? And I know that it's separate branches of government, I get it, but you've made the request to the Supreme Court. Is there any indication of what they've considered in your case, in your request?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm only speculating. I don't talk directly with the justices. The last thing I want to do is compromise anybody. I can't help but wonder, with the overwhelming support for the ballot initiative, if perhaps they were waiting to see how that would shake out. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it's one theory. Another is, this is unprecedented times, and they're taking their time to make sure that they're ready for us to start briefing the case. So I'm not quite sure what to make of it. All I know is that it's been in their realm and they can take action, and I'm hopeful that they will soon.
What is your feeling, and the last question, what is your feeling? This is speculative, but as we move forward, does this continue to be this evolving situation where there are kind of combating legal maneuvers until somehow this state can come up with a compromise on a new law?
Rick, the voters are going to have an opportunity to weigh in on the ballot initiative this fall. What I've been trying to do is just simply preserve the same rights with the same conditions that we've had for 49 years. If the legislature would have simply codified the law as we've known it for 49 years, we wouldn't have this fear and this concern and all of this lack of clarity. I believe that this is a fundamental right. The majority of people expect and want women to be able to make their own decisions about their bodies, to design the course of their lives. And this is a moment that is very concerning and scary. As a mom, the thought that my girls have fewer rights than I've had my whole life, it infuriates me. It also makes me worried about all of the women who don't have resources to make the decisions that they need to for what's right for them. So this is, I think, a really important defining moment. And it's very clear, despite the fact that there are plenty of pro-choice Republicans out there, the leadership on the other side does not, share the values of the vast majority of people in our state. Everyone who's running for governor, all the Republican leaders in the legislature currently are in support of that 1931 law, which is dramatically out of step. And that's why I've been doing roundtables. I've been listening to people who are on all sides of the aisle who definitely care about women being able to make their own decisions. And that's why this is a moment where I think we have to pull people into this fight, because it's a very scary time.
The CHIPS Act is said to encourage production of chips in the United States. Hemlock Semiconductor is a large contributor to chips because they make the polysilicon needed for these chips. Congressman Dan Kildee calls this a step in the right direction. This CHIPS Act will allow for tax breaks for manufacturers who create chips.
The longer term impact that the tax provisions will have, which do take time to develop the kind of jobs, will be really robust. It's a huge down payment.
It's a start, and you have to start somewhere. And when you can start on a rock hard foundation, you can only build up, and that's right here in the great state of Michigan. I can't be any prouder than what we are today.
While it may be a start, action won't be immediate. But Governor Gretchen Whitmer says she is encouraged by the CHIPS Act. In an executive directive signed by Whitmer on Tuesday, she says this will help with manufacturers who want to produce the chips in the state of Michigan.
We've seen cars that have been sitting on lots. We've seen people not be able to work. Is this enough?
I think that this is a massive step in the right direction. For years, we've seen chip manufacturing go, into other countries and grow in other countries, and we're relying on it. During COVID, I think it became very clear we cannot assume that advanced manufacturing halfway around the world is going to be there when we need it. We've got to do it right here.
10 proposals on the Genesee County ballot for tomorrow. Now, some of them just needing renewals and some appearing for the first time. Either way, these proposals, I'm told, are a big reason this election is so important.
These millages that are on the ballot, this is the one and only opportunity for voters to vote on these. So the decision that we make tomorrow will be what goes into effect for our community until these millages are renewed or revoted on.
Dominique Clemens is a chairperson for the Genesee County Board of Commissioners. He tells me the majority of the millages on the ballot for Genesee County are for 4 to 10-year proposals. This means if they are voted on during Tuesday's primary election, then they will stay in effect until the end of that allotted time. 2 of the 10 proposals on the ballot affect the entire county.
MSU Extension millage, which is a renewal to keep the services of MSU Extension, which are things like Master Gardener, 4-H, youth development programs. And then the second is our Genesee County Parks millage, also a renewal millage.
According to Clemens, voting to allow the Parks and Recreation millage renewal would keep most current county parks free for both residents and non-residents. Voting to not have the renewal would impact the level of service they're able to provide, according to Clemens.
Without the millage, all those other free parks, things like Formar Nature Preserve and the beaches that we have, might have a cost to them. And we've seen, I think, especially over the last 2 years during the pandemic, a lot of folks have been using these services.